Hey, here we are on the set of Donna and Friends, and I have invited Fire Chief Chris Pixler in with me today. When we were talking about the fire truck purchase, whether that was going to happen in the vote or not, we kind of got into ISO. And it was like, what do you know about it?
Yeah.
What do I know about it? And what do you know about it sitting out there watching this? And so I invited you to come back. So that's our topic today.
That is our topic.
And I'm going to let you just start, Chris, with just kind of we're going to get into a breakdown and what ISO is.
Okay, ISO is the Insurance Services Organization, and in the past, every 10 years, they would come to a community and rate that city's capabilities to put out fires through a device called a Fire Service Rating Schedule or a Fire Suppression Rating Schedule, which is all the elements that they're going to grade us on. One of the concepts out there that we need to correct a little bit is it's not a grade for the fire department, it's a grade for the city. And there's three elements that are graded, which is our 911 dispatch, the fire department, and our water utilities, our water infrastructure.
And from that, you as a homeowner or a person that has rental property or a business, it begins to affect you.
It does. The majority of the building insurers in the United States use the PPC, the Public Protection Classification Number that ISO gives a city to set their rate for insurance. So the lower we can get that rating, the cheaper you're going to get your homeowner's insurance, or if you own a business, the cheaper you get your commercial building insurance.
So let me ask you this, Chris, what is the current number for Cushing?
We have a split rating of a 5-8B. What that tells you is if you live within 5 miles of the fire station and 1,000 feet of a fire hydrant, you get the Class 5 rating. If you live within 5 miles of a fire station but beyond 1,000 feet of a fire hydrant, you get an 8B rating. The reason that it's up to an 8B is in that scenario is all about water. In town, within 5 miles, 1,000 feet of a hydrant, we know we have a reliable water source. ISO knows we have a reliable water source. If we have that reliable water source, then we're more likely to be able to get a handle on the fire. So.
Okay. All right.
So if you're 5 miles out and beyond 1,000 feet, you pay a little more for insurance than if you're within 5 miles.
And that's where it comes into play if you have that business or you have that home or you have rental property.
That's correct.
This is, you wonder, why is my insurance higher? And somebody else in town is saying, well, mine's lower. This can happen in comparisons, and you're wondering why.
Well, we kind of see it as a priority. I mean, living in the state of Oklahoma, I was doing a little research, and our homeowner insurance rates are within the top 5 states in the nation at highest. Depending on which research you look at, anywhere from $1,500 to $1,100 on average, and the national average is about $785, I think.
And the contributor to Oklahoma is?
Weather.
Tornadoes,
Yeah,
those storms, and all of the damages that they can cause, yeah.
So we feel if we can lower our ISO rating or get it to the lowest possible without increasing the cost of the fire department, save the taxpayers the money, then that's the best benefit we can give them. So that's what our goal is.
Okay. Well, let's continue with our breakdown because it's pretty detailed.
It's very detailed. There's 60 elements that they're going to grade the city on. Fire department is 50% of the score. Our 911 dispatch is 10% of the score, and our water department is 40% of the score. So they'll go through and they'll break down our emergency communication center, which we're actually in the city of Cushing. You have 3 departments involved in this. You have the police department, who runs E911. You have the fire department, and you have the water department. So I'll briefly run through this. I brought a cheat sheet, so there's so many things here. I've got to have a cheat sheet, but they're going to talk about emergency reporting. So the people have heard of a PSAP, Public Safety Answering Point. They're going to look at those, grade those on whether we have 911 or enhanced 911 services. Then they're going to put points to us if we have enhanced 911 with wireless capability, which is a big deal with all the wireless phones out and about today. They look at E911 voice over internet protocol, whether the city of Cushing would utilize computer-aided dispatching. Then they also look at geographic information system, whether we have computer-aided dispatching with GIS, computer-aided information systems. They're going to look at our telecommunicators or our dispatchers, and they're going to rate them on how many we have on duty. And they have a system where it's based on the number of calls that we receive in the city of Cushing, 0 to 731 calls. They say we should have 1 dispatcher. 731 calls to 10,000, we should have 2 dispatchers on duty. They'll look at our dispatch circuits, the actual phone lines coming in and going out of there, and then they will tally each score for each one of those, and then they'll give a cumulative score for our 911 system.
Well, I have to say at this point, it has probably helped immensely that we have the new safety center.
The new safety center did help us through several areas. Number one, the dispatchers area allowed them the capability to put 2 dispatchers in there. And I know Chief Folden and Diane over there, they work real hard. We don't always have 2 dispatchers on duty, but the way they rotate schedules, they actually increased our points in that area versus 2001. So they do a real good job over there.
Great.
The other thing it helped us with is on how the PD notifies the fire department. We have the new fire alerting system, and that gained us points as well. So the building has helped already.
Yeah, and that's good news to know when taxpayers spent, the money and voted for this, that it's now a little bit of an aid for them toward this insurance.
It is. It has helped. It has helped. The next topic they'll come in, they'll cover the fire department. There's 44 areas that they're going to grade us on. They grade us on automatic aid, which is something that we can go into detail later. They grade us on how many engine companies we have in the city of Cushing. And there's 3 ways they do that. They can do a deployment analysis, which says we should have a fire engine within 1.5 miles of every place we should respond within the community, and a ladder truck within 2.5 miles. Or we can use NFPA 1710. We can also use based on the basic fire flow for the community. However you analyze that, it comes out that our fire department should have 3 fire engines.
Okay.
That's what they say we should have. Then they look at the equipment on all those fire engines. Does it meet the requirements of ISO? Reserve fire engines, they say for every 8 fire engines, the community should have 1 reserve engine as a backup. When one goes down, you have a backup to bring in. They look at our the equipment on the reserve engines. They look at our ladder or service company. Here we are, back to the vote.
We just passed getting that ladder truck.
We did.
And here's a big reason to have it.
It is a big
Besides
part.
just saving lives in multi-level structures.
Correct. We discussed that during the vote. That was one of the elements that we talked about. Fortunately, the old ladder truck decided to stay in service until we got through our ISO rating in 2013, which was lucky and convenient.
Yes.
That saved us a lot of points. But it does. It has a lot of bearing, and the ISO says the city of Cushing, with the structure heights that we have and the fire flow we have, needs one ladder truck, which is what we're trying to do now that the citizens have.
Which we'll be getting soon.
We'll be working on it.
Yeah.
As soon as I get out of budget, we are 100% into the ladder truck.
It's happening.
So, yeah. And they go through that. The reserve ladder, of course, they say 1 to 8 ladder trucks. You should have a reserve ladder. Well, we know in the city of Cushing, another $500,000 investment for a reserve truck doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But that's part of it. The equipment that's on those trucks. They also talk about a service company, which we can go into more detail, but a service company is a unit that would respond, and it would bring extra SCBA bottles, extra axes, extra hoses. Those are points. Okay. And we can achieve some of those points by adding that equipment to the current apparatus and not physically operating another high-dollar piece of equipment. So we'll go for that. Then they look at our company personnel, which is the biggest, the most points we can get in the ISO rating, and they'll go through company personnel. They go through training. There's a huge amount of points on training we can go into detail on. They break that down into company training, which is structural firefighter training, an element with ISO. They really don't care about industrial firefighter training. They don't care about EMS. They don't care about wildland firefighting. They're in the insurance business, insuring or telling insurers about property risk. All they care about is structural firefighter.
Okay.
So that's what they're after. Officer training, driver training, hazardous material training. There's a little bit of that. Recruit training. And then we go into pumper service test, hose test, aerial ladder performance tests, standard operating procedures.
This all comes under your umbrella.
All comes under
And it
umbrella.
is up to you and the other firefighters to make sure that you comply to get the highest
To meet
amount.
as many of these
Yeah.
elements as we can to gain the most points possible while trying to keep the cost down.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's quite a balance and juggling, I would think. I mean,
Sure.
quite a checklist.
If we weren't all taxpayers ourselves, and if the checkbook was wide open, the city of Cushing would easily be a 1.
Right.
But that's not the real world, just like at
Wow.
home. So,
ISO, there's a lot to it,
ISO.
you know? ISO, 3 little letters.
I mean, I know we can continue some more of this. The point that I'd make real quick is we're at 5 right now. I think we can easily achieve a 4 without increasing the cost of the fire department at any.
Wow.
4 is about as far as we're going to get without.
And
without
that's
costing.
just due to our environment in the state?
It's due to our
To a degree?
environment. It's due to, once we try to get past a 4, it's going to take more staff.
Oh, okay.
And more staff costs money. And so.
Right, and here we go.
And there you go. And there you
Here we go.
Yes,
Well,
yes.
we've got about a minute left, but we're going to come back and we're going to talk more about this.
Correct.
But how, are you always having to be mindful of this? Is this throughout the year that it takes to accomplish these things?
What Deputy Chief Griffith and I have learned so far is
Quite a list.
if we don't stay on top of ISO all the time, we'll get behind, and when they show up to do their evaluation, we won't be able to catch up at that point. So it's an everyday task.
Well, it certainly looks at it. Just from you just starting to go down this list, I'm thinking, is that something they get up every morning and have a clipboard and look at? Or
Pretty much every time we
is there
think,
something we can do today towards this list?
every time we think about
Yeah.
training, every
Yeah.
time we think about responding a fire engine, every time we look at our manpower situation, a little element of that thought process comes back. Does that benefit us in ISO?
Absolutely. Well, we're going to take a quick break, but we're going to come back with more on ISO and the requirements and the checklist with
Yes.
with Chris Pixler, our fire chief, after this.